Okay, so this is a video that we are doing to show how we could possibly help with not just the golf swing, but potentially if you've got a bad back or an injury. So we did a lesson with Martin, plays off 2 handicap from the Midlands last week. He came in with a bit of a miss to the left, okay, he used his hands quite a lot through the golf ball, his closure rate was quite high. He came in with a problem with the lower back, the lumbar spine, it was always causing him a bit of a problem. So what we did first of all, we analysed him, and the main cause really was to try and find out why his lower half was hurting a little bit. Obviously we don't want that, and also then to give him some clarification on why that ball was missing left constantly. So a lot of the time it's sort of the concepts that the golfer's trying to apply. Now we're very lucky here because we use Gears Golf, so we can see the parameters of side bend in relation to rotations. Now a key parameter for us is the amount of side bend at the point of impact and the amount of torso rotation. So the torso side bend, the torso rotation, ideally should match up. So if we have 15 degrees of side bend, we'd have 15 degrees of torso rotation. If we've got 30 degrees of side bend, we'd have 30 degrees of torso rotation. Now, as you can see, on Martin's first swing, he had 14 degrees of torso rotation and 24 degrees of torso side bend. Now what this is doing, this is putting a lot of pressure on the lower right half of his back. The right shoulder was a little bit too low, the left shoulder was too high. That's putting a lot of strain and a lot of stress on that lower back. So that's immediately an area that we sort of decided that we wanted to have a play with. Now that coincided with the fact that he got a little stuck from the inside, so his vertical spine got a little bit this way, okay, which caused the path then to move to the right of the target. Hence he had to use a lot of hands, a lot of closing rotation to sort of square that face up, which is why there's a little bit of a block or a bit of an overdraw as a miss. Obviously he's a very good player, he can get around that, but to get him to that next level we needed a little bit more control of face to path, okay? So what we did here, we explained the concept to him, we explained that the left shoulder, the left hip needed to get up and round the corner a little bit more. We used ground force reactions for that. We explained that how the left foot should push into the floor, how the left knee and ankle should extend and the hip should extend. But we also used quite a lot of resistance band training. So we put some resistance bands behind his back, behind his neck, and just got him feeling like we were putting a pressure. We were trying to pull him into a really poor spot, so he had to work into a much better spot. Now, what you can see here is we got it to the point where we had 21.5 degrees of torso rotation and 22 degrees of side bend. We can see there that the vertical spine's not as kicked back. We can see there that the rib cage and the pelvis are a little bit more aligned at the point of impact, which resulted in significantly more shaft lean. We had 9.5 degrees of shaft lean on the right here, on the new one, only 5 on the left. We also saw that that had a good effect on his pelvis rotation. So we had 23 degrees on the left, 29 degrees, 30 degrees on the right. So everything here is allowing the golf club to get more in front of him, not get the club stuck behind him, so then he didn't have to use his hands as much, but also it's taking off quite a lot of strain to his lower back, which is obviously longevity of the game was advantageous. So we'll keep track on Martin, see how he gets on. Hopefully that path neutralises, hopefully the back pain sort of goes away a little bit. Hopefully this will then start to neutralise his flight and make his golf a lot more enjoyable. So there's many ways of training this as a movement. One way that we do it here is we use resistance band training, okay? So what I'll do is I'll get John or whoever the coach is at the time to come in. We use the club behind the back, okay? We put the band in at this point. So John's going to try and pull me into a really poor spot, and I've got to resist him. He's trying to make this job really hard for me, and I've got to be able to resist him and work into the better spot. Now, the idea of this is that if I'm doing the work, I'm going to learn it much quicker. So the work I'm having to do is much more exaggerated because I'm being pulled into a really poor spot. So we use these drills quite a lot. You can use them behind your thighs, you can use them at the back, you can even use them on the neck to try and get the upper body sort of rotating open a little bit more. It just means that I'm the one who's going to be doing the learning as opposed to John just placing me in the positions, which makes it much easier for me.